Hey everyone, welcome back to another SC Haulers video. I am Sacks of Wine, and today we are going over the refinery changes again. Now, we already know from the last video that they fixed the freight elevator and the ore pod bags, but there's something that they didn't mention in the patch notes, and that's what we're going to get into today. I just want to say before we get started, one, my daughter is feeling real rambunctious today. She's 3, and so if you hear her at all, that is why. Next thing is there's going to be some of this video that is just going to be me mining. There will be timestamps in the description below if you want to skip ahead. And I hate saying this part, but if you find this content useful, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you like the video, and the notification bell if you want to hear more in the future. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start in live, and I'm going to show you how the current system works in live. So forgive me, I forgot, I turned on my streaming, or not my streaming, my recording program, and I just completely forgot to hit the record button. So my setup for this is not recorded, but what I did, I went and got some Terranite and aluminum off of Selin. I am now at Crew L1. I took one of the ore bags off the mole and I put it onto a raft. And now I'm going to go check and see if the terminals allow me to make jobs off of the raft. So the only option that I have available is the mole. So the raft is not there. Even though there's an ore pod on the raft, there is no option for it. What about ore sales? And it looks like the raft is here, but it doesn't have the ore bag on there. But you can see the mole has the Terranite aluminum inner material. So we're just going to go ahead and sell that, head back to the hangar, and then we are going to switch that ore bag back over to the mole. And there she is, my beautiful ugly duckling, about to take off those arms and make her look even more beautiful. But here you see we have the ore pod. We're just gonna put this back on the mole real quick. Okay, and we're back at the refinery. We're going to check ore sales and just verify that that bag was actually full. On the rat or the mole, and there it is. The Terranite and aluminum is all there. So I'm going to assume that the refinery jobs will read it as well if the ore sales does. We're going to hop over to PTU and show you what you can do in the PTU that is really going to make this a whole lot easier. So going through this, it was painful learning process. Let's just say I learned early on that the mole won't fit in the back of the C2. Not the mole, I'm sorry, the Prospector. But to that point, the mole won't fit in there either. But you can see I'm struggling here. So after the Prospector incident, I went and grabbed a Golem because I knew the Golem would fit in the back of the C2. And really the only thing now is I got to get rid of these Argo ore pods and replace them with Drake pods. So we'll be back when I do that. Okay, so we loaded up these ore pods. These were not cheap, by the way. I believe I bought 8 of them and it cost around 150k. So that is going to be a pretty penny out of a lot of people's pockets that don't have a lot of money. Now, you don't need a C2 to do this. Just, I want to throw that out there. You don't need a C2. If you have a smaller cargo ship outside of the C2 and you want to do this method, let's talk about the setup real quick. You're going to need a server that you can get back on reliably. So if you have a friend or somebody you've associated with that is logged on, you know they're going to be logged on for a long time, join their server, and that's when you start setting up your cargo ship. Now you're going to need enough cargo, or excuse me, ore pods that fit on your cargo ship. You're going to fill up your cargo ship with whatever ore pods you need, whether that's Argo mole pods or the Drake pods. And then you're going to fly your cargo ship to your mining location. Once you're at your mining location, you are going to exit to menu. Do not bedlog, do not Alt F4. You are going to exit the menu. And once you exit the menu, that's going to take you back to the last space station you were at where you interacted with an ASOP terminal. Once you get back into the game, you're going to pick your mining ship of choice and then go to where your cargo ship is at. And then from there, just start mining and swapping out ore pods. So, one of the cool things about 4.1.1, if you're a new player or you're struggling for cash, but you have a mining ship like a Golem, there are so many new mining bases just outside of the refineries. So that's where we're at right now. We just quantumed over. It took us 10 seconds to quantum over here in the C2. And you can see there's just a ton of ore. Now, for the time that I was out here, there is not a lot of high quality ores, if you will. So you're going to be selling a lot of lower quality ores. That being said, I did find Terranite. I did find Bexolite. It is out there, but not in large quantities. I did not find any Quantanium. And I was out here doing this for like 3-4 hours, and there was just nothing. I scanned a ton of rocks. But that being said, if you just need money right off the bat, these new mining bases are going to be perfect. Just keep in mind that there will be people doing the new security missions, or the mercenary missions, excuse me, for Foxwell or Headhunters. If you're in the ARCCORP area, it is Fleet Week or Invictus month. And so ARCCORP is going to be a huge place for people to spawn. I would not recommend if you are a new player to go out here because these locations are going to be hot. I maybe head out to Microtech and try out some of the mining bases out there. Crusader's also a good option, but from my experience so far with the PTU, a lot of people are doing the space missions out of Crusader if they're doing them in Stan. So we're just going to mine a little bit and refresh these bags. I'm going to fast forward. That way I don't have to sit here for 4 hours of video content. And you just see how the operation works. It's like I parked here near the mining base. I get in the Golem. I go out. I mine. I come back to the C2. I replace the ore pods. And then I get back in the Golem and go back mining. And just consistently do that over and over again. And so I'm out here for like 2-3 hours looking for certain materials to make at least a decent amount of money. I didn't have a whole lot of luck, but I will say this particular change for the refinery will affect a lot of gameplay loops. Specifically mining more so than anything else, but others as well. So as I started going through this test, I decided the first thing I was going to try to do is see if I could store the Golem and the ore bags that were full at the station. And I made a mistake because initially I thought that everything was accounted for. And so I'm looking at the ore sales here and I'm seeing that it's selling for 62,000 AUEC. And I was like, well, that seems really low, but it seems like everything's being tracked. So then I go check the refinery orders. And as you can see here, the refinery recognizes the C2 as being something with cargo on it. I eventually end up switching over to the Drake Golem. And from there, I set the refinery order. And then I go to the C2 and you can see that it still has the cargo on there, which is why I thought that it was recognizing everything. But it turns out, even though I pressed get quote and confirm order, it did not actually go through. So I ended up going back to the C2 to see what was going on, and it looks like even though it refined the cargo from the Golem, only the 31 SCU, it still consumed, as if it was detecting the ore pods, it still consumed the ore pods that were in the ship. Because I had 8, and now I have 6. So just keep that in mind. If you do a refinery order with your Golem on board, it will consume some of your pods. Now, it was 2 a.m. when I was recording this, and I didn't think about it at the time, but those 6 ore pods that were there, maybe they still had cargo in them. So I need to go test that. But before we get into that particular piece, I went out in the Golem again and got some more cargo. And what I wanted to test was if I put this full cargo container on the C2 and send it down without the Golem in it, will it detect the ore pods? And so you can see in the completed work order that it detects that the C2 is here, but when I'm trying to place an order, the C2 is not showing up. So the ore pods will not show up on the C2, even if it's attached to the cargo grid and stored in the station. So today, I decided I was going to go pick up the cargo in my C2, if it's still there. And then after I pick up the cargo in the C2, put it in the freight elevator and send it down to the refinery. And so here I was, just enjoying my time, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is going to be a great idea. And as soon as I start getting this stuff off the ship and into the freight elevator, I notice that my Discord is going off, and CIG has just released patch notes for a new version of the PTU. So I'm like, oh crap, I gotta hurry up, So I'm trying to get this stuff in here. I send it down to the warehouse. I start running over to the elevator. And then disaster strikes. I want to say thank you to the people in the comments that told me about this refinery thing and how it all works. It gave me the ability to really test it and dive into it, which is awesome. I love doing stuff like that. But this refinery change really changes the dynamic of how mining gameplay works. And there's a couple of loops or strategies that you can take to improve mining gameplay. But there's also the piracy gameplay loop that really opens up with mining the ore pods being able to be sent down the freight elevator and refined through the freight elevator. So watch your back out there, miners. So will I ever know if those ore pods would have worked? Not on that shipment, but I mean, we got time in the future. But that being said, I am Sacks of Wine. This is SC Haulers. Thank you for joining me for this video, and we will see you at the next haul.